She vanished after using me and returned 10 years later. But what I did next, no one expected. He built her up from scratch, paid her bills, backed her dreams, stood by her through every exam and sleepless night. And just when she reached the top, she handed him divorce papers without a blink. No warning, no remorse. Just a clean exit. 10 years of silence. 10 years of rebuilding and then a message. One text that opened the floodgates of regret, manipulation, and twisted nostalgia. But what she didn't know, he had changed. And this time, he was in control. This story will leave you stunned. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. My name's Raymond. When all of this began, I was 30, running a modest IT consultancy. I had built myself. It wasn't flashy, just basic network installations, server upkeep, and freelance security audits. I had started it from the ground up after leaving a job in a warehouse. It covered my expenses and gave me the independence I valued more than prestige. I first crossed paths with Pamela at a finance tech networking event. She was studying for her CPA while holding down a part-time job at a payroll company. I wasn't searching for anything serious, but she had this sharp, no-frills confidence that threw me off balance. We talked for 2 hours at night, not about love or lofty ambitions, but about tax codes, technology, and the direction the world was heading. She was the type who read regulatory updates in her downtime. 2 weeks later, we were seeing each other between her classes and my client appointments. No grand dates, just takeout and deep conversations. She'd sprawl on my couch, surrounded by textbooks, quoting obscure IRS rules while I ran diagnostics. I admired that about her, her focus, her discipline, her realism. No empty optimism, just drive. Eventually, I saw where she was struggling. Rent, textbooks, exam fees. Her father had passed away, and her mother lived states away. She didn't have much support. So I helped quietly, covered her past due tuition one time, lent her money for her final CPA review course. She resisted at first, insisting she'd pay me back. I told her not to worry. My best friend Derek caught on early. He once joked, not harshly, just honestly, that I was treating Pamela more like a startup, investing in her growth, enhancing her prospects, hoping for returns down the line. He warned me not to let her forget who helped keep the lights on during the climb. I laughed it off. I believed in her. She was focused and ambitious, and I thought we were building something meaningful together. She passed her CPA on the first attempt. 6 months later, she landed a position at a major firm. We got married at the courthouse. No fancy ceremony. She told me, "I don't need a wedding. I need a future." I love that line. Back then, I thought we were aligned. I believed we were building a shared life, a partnership, but I missed the signs of change. After Pamela's first big promotion, things began to shift. She went from long hours to hardly ever being home. Client meetings, leadership courses, out-of-state audits. Always something. At first, I was proud. I told her so, but the space between us crept in, slow and quiet, like a chill you don't notice until you're shivering. Another late one. I asked one night, as she came in after 10 o'clock. She kicked off her heels, barely glanced at me, had to stay and debrief the Boston team. Couldn't leave early. I nodded. "Did you eat?" "Yeah, we ordered in." Then she brushed past me. No hug, no kiss, not even a pause. That kind of evening became routine. She used to light up when I brought her food during late-night study marathons. Now I couldn't even get a smile. I'd ask about her day, and she'd mumble half-hearted replies, eyes glued to her phone. One weekend, I asked if she wanted to escape to the mountains for a couple of days. "No phones, just us." "I can't just unplug, Raymond," she replied. "I'm not in that place yet." "But you've been there 6 months," I said. She gave me this look. Not upset, not tired, just finished. "Things aren't the same," she said. She didn't need to elaborate. I could feel it. Every night, she grew a little colder. And every time I brought up the future, kids, travel, even upgrading our apartment, she changed the subject or said, "Let's revisit that next quarter." So I stepped back, took on more clients, and convinced myself this was temporary. Careers had their seasons, and relationships had their storms. But something was dawning on me, something I couldn't yet say aloud. Pamela's season might not include me anymore. Then it happened. It was a Tuesday, just a regular day. No drama, no warning. I had just finished setting up security protocols for a logistics client. Around 6 o'clock, I picked up some Chinese on the way home, walked in expecting nothing out of the ordinary. Pamela was already there, sitting at the edge of the couch, blazer still on, hands clasped in her lap. "You're home early," I said. She nodded. "We need to talk." I knew those words. I set the food on the table and waited. She pulled a folder from her bag and slid it toward me. "What's this?" "Divorce papers." She replied flat. "I've already consulted a lawyer. It's clean. No court. I'm not touching your business." I looked at her for a few seconds. No anger, no shock, just silence. "Why now?" I asked. She exhaled like she practiced this moment. "We've grown apart, Raymond. You can feel it. I've changed. You've stayed where you were." I didn't want to have a drawn-out conversation before making a decision. She added, "You're a good man, but we don't work anymore." I glanced down at the folder. Her signature was already there. All I had to do was write mine. That was it. So I signed. No argument, no pleading, no scene. She looked at me, maybe expecting some kind of reaction. Anger, tears, something. But I didn't give her anything. I stood, went to the bedroom, packed a bag, and left without a word. She didn't call after me, didn't rise from the couch. She just sat there with her tidy paperwork and her spotless conscience. After I walked out, I didn't head to Derek's place or crash at a friend's. I rented a quiet, modest, long-term place close to the office and shut everything else out. 2 weeks later, Pamela's lawyer sent over the final divorce papers. Straightforward and efficient. Exactly how she preferred things. She didn't ask for a thing, and I didn't contest anything either. I could have gone after the money I'd invested in her career, certifications, rent, travel, food, but none of it was on record. My attorney, Elijah, practical, direct, spelled it out. Without documentation showing that the money was loaned and not given, the law wouldn't help me. Intentions didn't matter. Only evidence did. And I had nothing in writing. So I let it all go. The money, the years, the shared vision of the future. I gave myself 2 days to wallow. Then I went back to work. I took every project that came in. Started building custom firewalls again, consulting with mid-sized banks, even traveling out of state when the payouts made it worth it. I avoided places tied to her, dodged mutual acquaintances. I had learned something I hadn't known before. Love is easy to fake when someone's still climbing. The real test comes after the summit. Over the next few years, my company took off. I built a small team, upgraded to a better office, bought a home, not grand, but mine. And for the first time since the divorce, I felt grounded. I kept a low profile, no social media, no large circles, no online breadcrumbs. Because deep down I knew silence doesn't last forever. And if she ever reappeared, I wanted to be the one writing the ending. 10 years passed. Not a call, not a message, not even a forwarded email from Pamela. And I was perfectly okay with that. By then, I was running a 6-figure operation. Quiet name, loud results. I didn't chase flash. I delivered outcomes. Somewhere in that rebuilding process, I met Elena. She was an architect, precise, serene, allergic to drama. We crossed paths through a shared client. She was divorced too, ran her own firm. First thing she told me over coffee. "I don't do marriage." Been there, paid for it. I laughed. Same. It worked because neither of us needed filling. We simply enjoyed each other. We kept it uncomplicated. Shared meals, traveled together, no legal ties. We had our own code. Honesty, freedom, no fantasies, and it was enough. Then one night, while clearing out spam from my Facebook archive, I saw it. Pamela Warner. One message. "Hey, long time. How have you been?" I didn't react, just stared. 10 years, not a word. Not even when my mother died. And now this. I thought of ignoring it. But curiosity has its pull. 2 days later, I answered. "Doing well. Hope you are too. Simple, neutral, final. She replied within an hour. Came across an old tech piece. Made me think of you. Still in the game? I shot back a short yes. She kept the small talk going, work, memories, tiny nudges toward the past. I gave her only the basics, enough to keep things civil. Then she typed, "Been thinking a lot lately about us." I leaned back. That wasn't nostalgia anymore. She was fishing. People don't circle back after 10 years unless something behind them is in flames. And I already smelled the smoke. Soon she was messaging daily, dropping old memories. Remember that cabin trip? Walked past the Thai spot we used to love. I kept my replies short and dry. She wasn't trying to chat. She was gauging the water. Then came the pivot. "You know, Raymond, I never really found anyone as loyal as you." I didn't respond. Next day. "You were the most stable man I've ever had." I was too blind to see it. That's when I knew this wasn't catching up. She was circling back. I didn't confront her. Didn't ask why now. I mirrored her the way she used to brush off my attempts to talk. That distant stare like I was invisible. Now I was the one dodging her calls with maybe later and been swamped. Then one night she got bold. "I always thought maybe you never remarried because deep down you were waiting for me." That line lingered longer than I'd like to admit. Not because it was true, but because it said everything. She still believed the world revolved around her, that I'd stayed frozen waiting. I let her believe it. Pamela later revealed her second marriage had collapsed. Her husband blew money. She did twice. She ended up paying him alimony. "Funny how life flips," she wrote. I thought I had it all figured out. I responded with a thumbs-up emoji. Nothing more. She kept dangling hints. "Retirement feels real now. Scary to do it alone. You were always the solid one." I knew what she was chasing. Security. Stability. Someone who didn't question and always showed up. But that version of me, he no longer existed. One Tuesday morning, I made up my mind. I was at my desk, coffee in hand. Her latest message from the night before still unread. It was long. Talks of second chances, timing, how maybe we had to break apart to understand each other. I didn't rush a reply. By lunch, I typed, "Pamela, our divorce wasn't the end of something beautiful. It was the beginning of something necessary. Losing you taught me who I am and what I won't accept anymore. I didn't wait for you. I rebuilt without you, and I'm better now." I hit send, then turned the phone face down. She replied in under an hour. "Wow, so you were just playing me after everything we had." Then another, "You're just like all the rest. Cold, distant. You used me." And that's when the spiral began. More late-night messages, early morning rants, long blocks of text filled with guilt, regret, and accusations about closure. She tagged me in throwback posts. Even messaged Elena. "Hope he mentioned he's been chatting with his ex." That was the final straw. I called Elijah, the same lawyer from the divorce. I didn't have to explain much. He immediately got it. "I'll have a cease and desist drafted by tonight," he said. No back and forth, just swift action. By week's end, the letter was sent. I blocked her everywhere. That was the last I ever saw of Pamela Warner, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just closure. That night, I glanced over at Elena. She was sketching designs for a new house. Soft music playing in the background. That was peace. Peace that didn't shift or demand. It simply stayed. Pamela's chapter closed the way it needed to. No fireworks. Just a door quietly locked.